Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Tanya Eldert, and I am going to start off a leads training today, the lifeblood of your business, and Mike Gallo will be taking over for the second hour. So, but first I want to introduce you to Kimberly Duncan, who is with Walden Insurance Network, and they are our sponsor today, and they've got some special goodies for us, and they're going to give you a little information.
Hi, good morning, everybody. Thank you for having me. I am Kimberly Duncan with Walden Insurance Network. We are an all-lines insurance agency. We're located right on Ridge, close to Regency, right there. Again, we do all lines. We specialize in homeowners and commercial, but we carry everything from health, everything that you would need. A little bit about our company. We've been in business over 21 years. Shalita Stewart is our president, CEO, principal agent. She's been an agent for about 35 years. Her first life was with MetLife, and then she realized that she wanted to be able to give people options so that they would have, you know, we could find the right fit for each individual. And as an independent, we have so many different contracts with so many different, to find the right fit for you, your homeowner, or whatever it may be. So we also have Leanne Martin. She's been with the company for 19 years, and she specializes in commercial. And then there's Kathy DiGiolamo, sorry. She's been with Shalita for 10 years. She specializes in commercial and personal lines. And then there's myself. I have actually been in the insurance industry for about 17 years, but I've been on the vendor side. I was in restoration, water damage, fire damage, mold remediation. Then I got my adjuster's license, and then I worked on the vendor side for independent claims companies. And then I decided that it was time for me to grow up and get a real career, and I got my insurance license literally July 20th. That's how new I am. So Shalita has welcomed me, and she's going to train me, and she gave me an amazing opportunity. She's going to be a wonderful mentor. She's an amazing lady. Her husband, Bill, is also in the company, Bill Stewart, and he's the vice president. She was supposed to be here today, but something came up and they weren't able to make it. But so I don't have any business cards, but Shalita's business cards are in your bag. There's a little slick there that lists everything that we do, all of our services. So again, my name is Kimberly Duncan. I will probably answer the phone unless you dial Shalita directly. But if you have any questions, if you have ever any questions about a troubled home or anything like that, we have different carriers that, I mean, I just talked to a carrier yesterday that they liked homes that were older than 1950 and newer than 2010. So that's just that one carrier. They also specialize in mobile homes. So things like that that you may need, you know, we'd be more than happy to answer any questions to help you and your homeowner. So again, thank you very much. Stay safe and have a good day.
Thank you so much. Give me. So like I was saying, my name is Tanya Eldert, and I have been actually teaching CRMs and leads since almost I first became an agent, and I was with GTAR, and they learned I knew a little bit about technology and marketing from my running a marketing agency for several years. and they asked me to start teaching people CRM. So I have been doing this class now for about 5 years. So I change it up a little bit here and there, but it's something that I think is very important for all real estate agents to have, to understand, and to basically utilize this. And in my opinion, having a good CRM is just as important as having a super lockbox key to get into a house. One, if you don't have a good CRM and a good marketing plan, you won't get anybody into the house because you won't have any clients. So anyway, I'm also a licensed instructor. I own a real estate school. I'm on the board of directors here. And like I said, I've been doing this a while. So let's start off with what is a CRM. Well, it's basically a customer relationship manager or management system. And does anybody know who Jim Rohn is? Anybody old enough to know Jim Rohn? Okay. I believe it was a Jim Rohn class I took on cassette tape. This is how long ago. It was on cassette. And Jim was talking about using his CRM. And basically, that was a Rolodex that he had different ways of tagging so that he could call people on their birthdays and know what their son's name was. And he kept this extensive system. Now, luckily, we have something that is better now. We can actually access our CRMs on our phones. We don't have to have a big, chunky Rolodex and keep up with it. So what should a CRM have, all right? And what are its requirements? Well, first one, I always tell everybody, because I always get this question. I'll be standing here at the front of the room, and somebody will come to me and they'll say, Tanya, which one should I use? And or which one should I get? And the answer is, which one will you use? Okay. When I got into real estate, again, I had been doing marketing for about 12, 13 years, having my own agency. And in the beginning, around the early 2000s, I had an agent come to me and he said, there's this new CRM called Salesforce. I mean, that's how early it was. Salesforce was one of the first. And he said, but it wasn't meant for real estate agents. It doesn't have the things I need to put in there. He said, I know you're a programmer. I know you know how to build databases. Can I hire you to tailor Salesforce to my real estate business? Again, early 2000s, Salesforce wasn't meant to be tailored by the end user. You really had to know how to program and go in and change things. And they let you do it if you knew what you were doing, but you could also mess it up really bad. So I created one of, to me, one of the first ones for real estate agent. It was just for one client. And he used Salesforce. So that's how long I've been doing it. So when I became a real estate agent about 5 years ago, I went into my office and I sat down and I said, I know I need a CRM and I'm going to figure out which one to use. And I sat there for 6 to 7 hours, I mean the entire day. And I signed up for everybody's free trial and I tried some of them, I played with them, I looked at what they had. Now luckily almost all of them have free trials. And at the end of the day, I'll never forget, I walked out and I looked at my husband and I said, how does anybody who doesn't have my background even figure this stuff out? It is a mess in there. There are way too many options. And there were so many different extremes. And I'll tell you as we go through some of the ones that I used and what I got down to. But when you're looking at CRMs and you're trying to figure out which one to choose, here's your must-haves, okay? You need to have a place to take notes. All right, you need to be on the phone with somebody and you need to be able to remember their dog's name. If they give you their dog's name, there's a reason they gave it to you. Write it down. Email drips. It's got to be able to hopefully have some automated email drips. So when a lead comes in as a buyer, they're getting updates from you on a regular basis. They're getting the home listings they want on a regular basis. They're getting notes from you. Now, how they do that depends on your system. It could be phone calls that are tagged to you to call them. It could be emails. It could be text messaging. It can also be videos. So, how your drip is how complex you get with your CRM, but it needs to have some kind of drip because when you get busy as a real estate agent, and hopefully you all get so busy as a real estate agent, remembering to send out your little pile of emails to 400 people, you know, when you have to have this special message here and this special message there, you will not remember to do it. Okay, you just can't keep up. And that's a good thing. When you're so busy, you can't keep up with this. That's why you need the automation to do it. It should have a way for you to set reminders and tasks. Okay, there's different reasons we'll talk about why you need that throughout here, but it needs to have that. And the other thing it really needs to have is categories. And when I say categories, I mean it needs to say whether it's a buyer or seller. You don't want to send the same campaign to a buyer as you would a seller. You need different messaging, so you need to be able to put that. You need to be able to put a category of past clients. You need to have a category of sphere of influence. You need to be able to categorize them. And then what you use tags for is even those finer details. Let's just say 55 plus. You talk to somebody, all they want is 55 plus. You would put a tag in there, 55 plus. That way if a house came up, you could look for the tag, all buyers who have 55 plus, and you could send out a new listing that you might have that meets their criteria. You could do any other things, dogs, gated communities, waterfront. You know, that's the kind of tags. You can do tags for specific communities so that when you're doing a community newsletter, you only pull the tag for that community. That's why that's important. I mean, let's look at this. How hard would that be to do with a Rolodex? You know, it's hard. And it also should have a mobile app for you, because at the end of the day, real estate agents are on the road a large portion of their time. And if you are sitting in a driveway waiting for a buyer to show up and you get a call from somebody else and they gave you some important information that you need to make a note on in their CRM, if you have an app for it, you just pull it on up in the app, you put in the notes, and then you go show your house, okay? Here are the nice to haves. Again, up top, I wouldn't get a CRM or pay any money unless they had all of those things. The nice to haves is text messaging. Now you got to be a little careful of those laws. Read some Florida legalities about sending out text messages on long code key numbers. So the difference is when you get a text message and you look at the top and it's a regular phone number, they call that a long code. And when you send that out to somebody, or a long number, when you send that out to somebody, it can be misleading, like it's a personal message between two people, you know, like your sister text messaging you, when it's actually a huge spam thing going to a lot of people. And there's two different lawsuits in the state of Florida. You get fined $5,000 for doing this. That says that that is misleading, okay? So that's what these lawsuits are saying. However, if you use short code where you look at the top and there's like 4 numbers up top or 5 numbers and it doesn't look like a phone number, that's supposed to be not misleading because you're pretty much assuming that's from some type of text message or spam, okay? So just keep mind on that. Look at what your, the legalities before you do bulk text messaging. Video integration. So some of them can do it in different ways. Some of them allow you to put a few on theirs. The new one I'm using just integrated with BombBomb. So now our CRM and BombBomb actually work together so we can send out video text messages in bulk or one-on-one. Checklist. Some of the good ones have really neat checklists. So if you're not using a transaction coordinator, if you don't have another piece of software to help you remember, did you do X, did you do Y, did you, send this agreement over, you can put checklists into your CRM that are tagged to your person. And other ones have neat mobile apps that you can give to your buyers that are connected with your account. So if I gave my buyer one of these apps and they're searching for homes, it's almost like looking on Zillow. They can open it right in front of a house, it'll pop right up, what the price is, look through the pictures, and there's a little button on there saying I want to see this house, which comes straight to me immediately, and I can call them saying, hey, I saw you're sitting in front of X, Y, and Z. Let me call the listing agent so we can get a showing on that. Okay, so I know what houses they're interested, or they can put hearts on them. So it's a way to connect with buyers who are using mobile. And also the nice to haves, and I have some strong opinions on this I might go through a little later. It needs to be integrated with your website, and I'll go over that a little bit more. And mobile keyword integration. So there are also ones out there that will give you a mobile keyword that you can use that's connected to your CRM. So when somebody texted that, they go straight into your CRM with their data. And of course, you're notified. Okay, I love putting quotes. I'm a quotes person, so Eleanor Roosevelt is one of my favorite. I've got some of hers sitting around, but learn from the mistakes of others. You cannot live long enough to make them all yourself, okay? So, all right, so let's start with who do we put into our CRM? Well, your leads. Anybody you meet in person, you might want to put in there, and that includes sphere of influence. I put that second. You can tag them as such so they're not buyers or sellers and have that special category. But then if you're like me, who as they get older, part of my memory is shifting elsewhere. I don't know where it's going, but it's not staying with me sometimes. And you cannot put your finger on the name of that mortgage person you want to contact. If they're in your CRM, that's a great way to contact them, or the inspectors you might use, or even friends, acquaintances, people who might give you referrals. Put them in there as a sphere of influence. That way, if they give you a referral or you talk to them and they told you about their neighbor, you can put those notes in. That's why it's there, so you can always pull up those notes and remember things. You can also tag your sphere of influence of when you want to call them. Maybe you know, there's different books out there about categorizing people, you know, your A list, your B list, and you call your A list monthly and your B list quarterly. It doesn't matter what system you set up, but if you have a system where you're getting in touch with them, or maybe you have a community newsletter they might be interested in, all of that is what you can do with your CRM. It's not just for your buyers. You can take people from internet funnels, from Facebook groups, community sites, social media, blogs, squeeze pages, landing pages. If they're connected to your CRM, they'll go automatically in. Like we have squeeze pages and landing pages about communities, about home searches, about, you know, grab a copy of the HOA, that pull in leads that way through internet funnels and put them directly into my CRM. And they're tagged as such. So if they come in from a community website and they go into my CRM, they're automatically tagged to that community name. So if I'm doing a community newsletter, I can just pull them and send it out. Past clients, okay? That's a huge, huge missed opportunity for many agents. They do not keep in touch with their past clients. And so the past clients even forget their name. And I can attest to that. I bought a house once in Norfolk, and you know, the lady was nice enough. I wasn't an agent at the time, but 6 months later, I couldn't have told you what her name was. And she never kept in touch with me. And I ended up buying another house, and it wasn't with her because I don't even remember her name. So again, keep your past clients in there, set up a newsletter system, set up an auto drip for them, just do kind of neat things where you're getting in touch with them, but it's important that you put them into your CRM. And it's so easy. You've already got them as a lead. Then you change their status to a client or somebody who's under contract, however you want to set up your system. And then when you close, you set them up as a past client. They're already in there. You're just changing their category, and then you move on. It takes seconds, and when you have those auto drips set up, you know, it takes even less. And some of the sites I'm going to show you already have the auto drips done. I mean, you might want to go in and edit a few, but many of these companies are already giving you those drips that you can turn on like that. They have open house drips. They have past buyer drips. They have tons of them. Open house visitors, okay? There are apps on many of these systems where you literally take your iPad or your phone or your sign-in system. They do it right there, and it goes straight into your CRM. How quick can that be? When they sign in, they're doing it electronically. And considering we're kind of doing away with a lot of paper and touching pens and things like this might be a really good way to do it. Okay, either run the day or the day runs you. Please stay tuned for my January class that I do every year about creating a business that you control, not a business that controls you. And to that note, since I'm right here and I love techie fun stuff, I have to share my newest purchase. Who's heard of Rocketbook? Okay, if you went to the Realtor convention 2 years ago, Stellar gave out little rocket books. And what they are erasable books that you can tag electronically, okay? So basically how this particular one, rocket books have a lot of ways to do it. So they have little symbols on the bottom and you tell them where you want the symbols to go, okay? So you can put it into your G drives, you can send it to a Gmail, you can put it into your Evernote. And so you have little, tags across the bottom. And what this particular one does, it's done by Panda Planner. And Panda Planner helps you go through your whole year and plan out what you want, and then it takes it monthly, then it takes it daily, and then it takes it, helps you control what you do. You know, you have your motivations. So basically, you fill out a lot of stuff about what you want to do this year, your motivations, and then you fill it out every day. You know, what you're grateful for, what you achieved, and then the next part is, after I'm done a week of this, I literally take my camera and the app on it, and I send it up to my Evernote account. Now, why is that important? Well, I can tell you right now, I have been journaling and doing daily worksheets like this for a gazillion years, and I have a special cabinet that is literally full of daily journals and worksheets and things like that, literally here to there. Do you know how hard it is to search on that? It's impossible. You know, you can't figure out what day you needed what. When you put this into Evernote, it translates your handwriting into text that you can search on in Evernote. So if I make a notation about my daughter's doctor and then I can't remember what his phone number is because I wrote it down in here, I can go to Evernote and search on it and find the journal page and entry I did that day and made the notes on, because it becomes searchable. So for anybody who's like me with a gazillion amount of journals and worksheets and stuff, this is awesome. Okay, I'm sorry, I had to get off the topic because this is a cool play toy. And then, of course, I'm not wasting paper. I literally erase it and then start the next week. So, or the next month, or, you know, whatever. Okay, moving on. What to do with your CRM? Okay, so this is the important part, because I know some of you have been given a free CRM by your broker and you've never used it. I know, because I was a broker for a year and a half to over 100 agents, and probably 20 of them properly used their CRM. And I know the other 80% barely touched it. So what can you do with it? Well, obviously for clients, you make your notes, you send the listings, you have a mobile app you give to them. So like I was telling you, you send them newsletters, videos, text. You track their interest level, because most of them, if you set them up for a drip that has the type of house they want, the 3-bedroom, 2-bath in this community, and the system is sending it to them, you can see which ones they opened and looked at. So you can gauge their interest level. I actually get a text message if they open the same house more than 4 times. They're like, Tanya, they're really interested. They opened it 4 times. You got to get a hold of them, is basically what this text message is telling me. So again, they help you gauge the interest of your clients. We talked a little bit about your sphere of influence, you know, referral notes, their birthdays, call notes, just anything you want to put in there are a good option. Past clients, remember the anniversary when they bought their house. Remember to send them information about the homesteading if that qualifies for them. You know, I send all my past clients a little, hey, there's a tropical storm coming. In case you've never lived in Florida, here's your list. So, or here's what you do, or call me if you have any questions. So You can track your contact close. Again, if you don't have another system that is doing that, I think that's always very important. There's so many pieces in contract to close that some people miss, and if you have that little checklist, it can be very helpful, especially if you're newer and you haven't done, like Mike, hundreds of properties and can do it in your sleep. Not everybody can do that when they first start. You need that checklist. You see, yeah, he still systematizes it. He could do it in his sleep. Yeah, see? Set up reminders again for anniversaries and birthdays. When we were getting our training on the BombBomb CRM integration that we just went through, they showed a couple, they were agents, and they literally sang individually, they did individual video for every one of their clients' birthdays. And they would just literally sing off tune. They were not good singers. Happy birthday, and send out that BombBomb video to them. But it was personalized. Hey, Joe, it's your birthday. We missed you. Here's happy birthday, and they would sing happy birthday. My sister doesn't even like it when I do that to her, but anyway. Store emails, newsletters, templates, and some documents. In some cases, depending on your system, you can put things that you would frequently send to people. So one of the ways that you might do this, suppose you have a standard email that you send all your clients with the list of inspectors that they could choose from. So you've literally just moved them from the, they've just gone to contract. So you change their category. And you can actually, with some of these systems, so when somebody changes category, it starts a new drip campaign. And just say the first one could be you going, hey, you can do a video, or just write it out saying, hey, congratulations, you're under contract. I'll be in touch with you, blah, blah, blah. And then one day later, it could be, here's a list of inspectors you should call. And you can literally walk them through it, or you can just pull up that template and send it one-on-one. It really depends on how busy you are. At a certain level of business, you just need to automate stuff, or you'll never keep up, and some balls are gonna fall. And that's kind of what CRMs are for. They weren't designed for the person who has no business. It was for the person who wants to grow their business by connecting with those leads, and the person who's so busy they need a system like Mike to keep up with. And then the, again, mobile app I told you about. You can also, as I was discussing earlier, use those squeeze and landing pages to pull people in. Now, one of the things I teach in another class is you don't have to have a website that will do landing pages and squeeze pages. You can literally set up a form on Jot Forms. It's free. And using that program, it's an online form, you can bring in leads that way that you could put into your CRM. So they don't necessarily have to have the integration. And some of these CRMs also have a back end that will assist you with social media integration, help with you do your postings. They will create websites specifically for a listing. They will help you do flyers. They will help you do open house flyers. So some of these have really just encompassed the whole world that you need to do, including marketing a listing. All right, I have a little fun thing that I like to go through real quick. You'll see this on one of your worksheets. My broker taught me this a while ago, and it was mind-opening, okay? It was really just one of those aha kind of moments, and I like to share it with others. So you have your CRM, you have leads coming in, and then there's a certain number of agents out there who don't like to do cold calling or lead calling or warm lead calling. However you want to put it, calling and picking up the phone is very nerve-wracking, okay? And I understand. I remember one of my first phone sales jobs that I got as a marketer, contractor, and the guy gave me a list and told me to call them. And for 2 days, I looked at the list, and then I handed it back to him, saying every time I looked at that list to make a phone call, I wanted to vomit. And I said, I cannot do it. I feel like I want to throw up. And he said, well, then that's not for you. Thank you for letting me know. Keep programming my database. So, kind of thing. So you have to know, why should you make these calls? Well, let's look at it as a real estate. And I'm just picked round numbers. It doesn't matter, whatever. That's why it's blank, so you can put in your average commission, not what I'm doing. I like round numbers because I'm not mathy. But let's just say your average commission is $10,000. And it's going to take you 50 calls to get one buyer. So you literally need to dial 50 people to get one buyer or seller, whichever one you're targeting. It doesn't matter, okay? That means that every one of those calls that you made is worth $200. Now, if I called you right now and said, if I give you a list of 50 people and I'll pay you $200 a person to call, who's going to accept that job? Yeah, see, Mike's over there. We've got a couple people that'll take that job. But when you're doing it, when you're on this side of it and you're sitting there and you're thinking, oh my God, I don't want to call these people. Think about it. It's $200 a call if that's your conversion rate. Now, if it takes you 100 calls to get one person, then it's $100 a call. But at the end of the day, that if that's your average commission, that's about what those calls are worth for you to do. So keep that in mind. The other thing that I wanted to share with you while we're at this point is that, like I said, I wanted to vomit. But when I got into real estate, I realized that's the only way I'm going to connect with FSBOs. It's the only way I'm going to connect with some of these buyers. I'm a fun, personable person. They like to work with me. People got in front of me. We were good. But they don't know me over the phone, and they certainly don't know me from the last telemarketer or agent who called them. And so that was a hard hurdle to get over. And then one day I had an epiphany, another one. I think I said that right. But anyway, it hit me. When I call these people, did I truly have something that could help them? And my answer was yes. I was very good at marketing. I could get their house sold. I knew I could get their house sold, okay? I have something that would help them. I generally targeted people who hadn't gotten their house sold for 30 days or more, so they weren't selling it. But I could help them. And then I thought about it a little bit more. And I'm like, if I can truly help them, I know that I can do this. And I'm not calling them. Then I'm doing a disservice to them by not making a phone call. I am actually hurting them by not giving them the opportunity to talk to me. Because I know I can help them. I know I can serve them. And when I changed it from being about me calling, me nervous, me wanting to vomit, and I made it about them, me serving them, me helping them, me seeing what I could do to get their house sold or find their first-time home. When I turned it around and I came at it from that standpoint, one, I stopped reading half those stupid scripts. Two, I came at it from a very natural standpoint that I wanted to serve them, and was there a way that I could help? And I was genuine. People knew that I was very sincere when I made these phone calls. I did not sound like the person who was reading them the same pitch that they had read from, heard 3 other agents say when they picked up the phone. I literally wanted to see if there was some way I could help them. And if we could work together, great. And if it wasn't, well, I'm here if you need me. So keep that in mind. If you change if you're one of the people like me and you're nervous about that phone call, change the dialogue and be sincere, be authentic, but be of a service mind, and I bet you'll get some different results. All right, so we're going to talk about money now, okay? Not commissions, but what CRMs cost. And what I need you to think about is your CRM a tool? Well, yes, it is. Is it an expense? It can be. Is it investment? Yes, if you actually put it to use, it is a very good investment. And is it a necessity? And I'm going to go with yes, too, on that, okay? There is one of the things I'm going to show you on here about how some CRMs are now integrating with the IDX websites. And it does cost more, but I think it is a complete necessity. Back in the day when I started doing these things for agents and building websites for them, it was okay to have a brochure on there, or what I called a website that looked like a brochure. Just had your picture on it, you know, name, address, oh, I'm legal kind of thing. You remember back in the day, if you couldn't find them on the internet, they must not be valid, right? Yeah. So, you know, you had those. Well, one of the things I've learned in the past 5 years, and it wasn't, you know, awakening for me, buyers don't buy real estate agents. They don't. They buy houses. And the assumption of agents who spend hours and hours on their branding and their picture and all of that stuff really doesn't matter unless you have what they want. And what they want is a house or you know, down payment assistance or a good credit score, or there's something else they want. But they're not buying you. You just happen to get between them and what they want. And hopefully you're going to help them. But if you're not there to connect with them between that house search, then there's going to be another agent out there who will, okay? So when you're looking at these, you know, here's my picture website, I'm legal, but I don't have a way for you to search for a home. I don't have a landing page. I don't have a squeeze page. I don't have a way to capture your information or even for you to look at a house in the community you want from my website. You're losing out, okay? Because they're searching for homes on the internet. Now, pre-COVID, I'd be standing up here going, if you don't have that website, find an open house and sit where they want because they're buying houses and you're in an open house and you will find buyers. Seriously, that's how I got through my first year, open houses. Some people think, oh, they never work. Yeah, you do them right, they work, okay? I got my first year on open houses because I didn't have a lot of this stuff my first year. But I knew I had to be where the buyers were, and the buyers are buying houses, so I got in an open house. So let's look at these CRMs. This is an oldie but goodie. One of the past presidents of GTAR, who has been in the industry a gazillion years, swears by Realty Juggler. I've never used them. I'm pretty sure they're a little outdated. I don't know if they've done any major updates since he's been using them. No. But it is the least expensive option I could find out there for you, okay? Lion's Desk is $25 a month, and I have used them. They are not bad. They have drip campaigns. I believe they have a checklist still. They have a great way for you to make notes and do those basics, okay? They are not connected with a website. That's what I was telling you about. I'm going to go into this a little bit more. My more favorite, I moved from Lion's Desk to Wise Agent, a little bit more money. I believe Wise Agent has some upgrades you can pay for that will also allow you a certain number of videos in there. It's not through BombBomb, but it's, you know, they have a video way to do it, and some, you know, extra payment for some text messaging. So Wise Agent. Now both of these have free trials. They both have a little bit different look and feel. They're very similar. What I would suggest if you're looking at these two is literally sign up for both of their trials and see what feels better to you. Because sometimes, again, everybody's different, but some just a little bit more user-friendly than others. I think these are both user-friendly for the basic user. Top Producer now has, which I did not know, I was looking up prices. I was surprised. Top Producer used to be pretty expensive. Now they have just a CRM for $40 a month, or they will make you a basic website integration for $50. I did not go into it in detail. I'm guessing there's some setup fees with there I did not see, but it would be something to definitely look at. Agent 3000, when I was on the tech committee for GTAR, they came and pitched us when they were first doing their startup. They actually started up in this area, so they belong to our MLS. I think it was Sarasota, actually, maybe St. Pete, but anyway. That is a very good option. They have some neat social media integrations with that. And it will provide you with a website and the CRM, and I believe they also had some landing pages and things like that. So I like them. We've actually had agents when we used Commissions Inc., who would also have Agent 3000. I thought that was a bit of a redundancy, but they liked the toys that were there on Agent 3000. KV Core, which is what I use, is $300 a month. Now, again, there are brokers that will provide that for you. That is the individual pricing for KV Core. And that is the one I told you that's now integrated with BombBomb. To use BombBomb with it, it's an extra $30 a month, which is pretty good considering BombBomb is usually like $70 a month if you got the same package on its own. KV Core does have those landing pages and the squeeze pages and the listing pages like I was talking about. So they really do have a lot of the bells and whistles. And then Commissions Inc., which I have used as well in the past, is very good, but I personally would not pay for that $600 a month as an individual agent. So it's really unless your broker is paying for it. And then the infamous Boomtown, which you usually see either your broker provides it for you. It's also very popular with teams. So you'll find that a team will use a lot of the Boomtown. But again, pretty costly unless you're really doing a lot of work. So that is it. I am open to some questions if anybody has any, but I think, because I did end a couple minutes early. Yay, see, Mike, I told you I could do it. But anyway, who has some questions about CRMs? All right, let me ask you a question. Who uses a CRM right now? Okay. Those of you who don't, do you have any input as to why you haven't done it yet? Do you feel like there's a barrier or something I could help you get over? Okay, you haven't even started and playing with it, yeah. Mike's going to have a great class on leads. I'm sorry? Okay, let me go over a little bit of the terms. A landing page is a page you come to, and I'm sure you have all been to them in the past. If you've ever bought anything online, you have been to that page where all they do, they don't give you links to anywhere else or anything. All they want to do is sell you something, right? In real estate, our landing pages look a little bit more like community sites. So you might come onto a page. It shows you, a picture of a house in the background. There might be a video playing. It could be a community tour. It could be a little bit about, I've seen some that are like, hey, do you want a list of all the REOs in Sarasota? Okay. That's a landing page, all right? So the people come to there, you promote it all over social media, you come to this page. All we want to do is get your email address, maybe your first name, and we're going to send you a list of all the REOs in Newport Richey, okay? So investors might be interested in this, things like that. So that's the landing page to do that capture. A squeeze page is a little bit similar. For example, with my landing page, if I did something like that, I don't have one of those, but I'm just using an example. I would actually have a squeeze page, which is like a defined search on the MLS of all those houses in Newport Richey that are REO. So I can already have set up that search that when you get to that other page, all you're going to see is every REO in Newport Richey. All right, so one, I've captured your information on the landing page. Then I've sent you to that list that you basically requested, right there, all the houses. And in some cases, I can use that squeeze page as a standalone, and I can say, if like I didn't even want to do the landing page, because when you click on your first house, you have to register with me. Okay, so I've got a couple of different ways that I'm going to capture your information. It's going to go into my CRM. Let me use a perfect example of this. So prior to me joining a brokerage that had this stuff for me, okay, at one point I built my own. Then I let it slide. It was $600 a month, by the way, for me to build my own, and I own my own servers, so I was doing my own servers. Just the IDX feed and everything else in the individual CRM costs a lot of money when you start doing it that way. So what I ended up doing was moving to a company that had this for me. Great. And I had a investor special, we'll call it that, in a 55-plus community that I had had on Craigslist for 3 weeks. Guess how many calls I'd had on it? 1, okay? I was like, Craigslist, you always have investors on Craigslist. Why isn't anybody calling me about this house, right? So I did a squeeze page for that particular property where somebody had to register their information to see the house that the broker gave to me, right? So that's what a squeeze page was. And I put that link into Craigslist. And you know what happened? I had 30 names by the end of the weekend using the exact same ad. It wasn't that I wasn't getting people opening the information. They weren't giving me their information, okay? I was not capturing them. When I put in that lead capture, the first weekend, 30 investors. Now, that wasn't the one who ended up doing it, but I ended up selling 2 other houses to the other out of the 30. Okay, just by capturing their information and having that conversation. That's why you need it. Just putting out that information to the community doesn't mean much unless you connect with them in some way. Even if that connection is you have to give me your name and email so we can start even an email conversation. Because there's too much data out there. There's too many things going on in the world that you get overlooked. Right? We're data overloaded.
We are data overloaded.
We're data overloaded. Well, thank you. This is Mike, and Mike's taking over now. Thank you, Mike.
Good morning, everyone. Thank you for coming. Tanya did an awesome job, doesn't she? Your CRM is your #1 tool in this business. You need one. You have to have one. You should use one. If your broker provides one, use that one because it's free. Try it out, and then go from there. A couple of things that Tanya touched on. I will say Wise Agent is preferred by a lot of people because of the Gmail integration. If you put a contact in your Gmail account, it throws them into your Wise Agent for you. Pro tip, make sure that you're categorizing those people in your Gmail account, so when they port into Wise Agent, they're in a category. Otherwise, you just have... What? We're going to take a brief pause. Am I clear? Okay, so we're back. So Tanya did bring up some great points about your CRM. I'm going to touch on that slightly, but the main topic for this hour of the class is going to be lead generation, okay? So to generate business, what is a lead? All it is a name and a phone number, or a name and an email. That's it. I don't care where you're getting it from. I don't care if it's a friend, a past customer, a referral. If it's coming from online, it's just going to be a name, a phone number, and an email. Okay? If you're lucky, you get email. The goal is to convert that name and email into revenue-generating business. So the more leads you get, the more business you can convert. Not every lead you get, who's new in the business? Really? So not every lead you get is going to convert into a piece of business. It's just how it goes, especially when you're getting them from the internet. Sorry, something happened, and I just clicked back. So we use scripts to learn the information we need to convert the lead and assist them properly. So if you haven't explored scripts, I know a lot of people are like, well, I don't want to use a script. It sounds canned, this and that. The script is a guide. It keeps your conversation on track. The script will guide you on questions to ask to get the information that you need to help that person. Tom Ferry, Lion's Desk, and RedX all have free scripts online that you can download. The links are in your handout. Okay? And at any time, if you'd like to take a photo of the slides, you can go right ahead and do that. You need to practice your scripts with someone. I was trained to practice my scripts like a little bit and then just make the phone calls and, you know, use them as you go. When you hear the word script, it sounds like you're gonna call someone, just read something off a page, and that's not what it is. You internalize that script and it becomes part of a conversation. To close a phone call with an appointment, you know, you get to the end of the call and a lot of people are like, well, when you're ready, give me a call. They're never gonna be ready and they're never gonna call you. So you end that conversation with, you know, it sounds great. I'm available tomorrow at 3 or today at 4, which is better for you? And book the appointment and get there. If you just leave it open-ended, it's never gonna work, okay? So follow those scripts. They do work, but if it's canned, and if it sounds like one of those automated phone calls that we get about our home warranty or our vehicle's warranty or something where you know they're just reading something off a screen, it's not as good. But you want to have those scripts for in your conversation. Your biggest source of business is your sphere of influence. We all have one. And it's a lot bigger than most people think it is. Over 60% of your business will come from your sphere of influence. Now, there's multiple ways your sphere will give you those leads. It could be direct, where someone calls you and says, my sister wants to move from another state and, you know, you need to help her buy a house. Or you sold our house and our neighbor wants to sell their house, and that kind of a thing. Facebook, your Facebook account is a huge connection to your sphere of influence. They're all in there. I mean, and then some. So your sphere is what you're going to work the most. So what is your sphere of influence? Family, friends, past coworkers, your landscaper, your plumber, your AC person, your neighbors, anyone you come in contact with, anyone who knows you is part of your sphere, your direct influence sphere. When you look at your sphere of influence, I use a 3-level. I don't get too crazy with it. Break it down so it makes more sense. So the red is you, and that's what you can control. You can control your message. You can control what you put out to people. You can control your activity with your business. The dark blue ring is your actual sphere of influence. Those are the people that know you. You're in their phone. They know your face. You've interacted with them before. You're on a friendly level with them, okay? You influence them. The indirect influence ring are the people that those people influence. So you do a transaction with someone and you help them buy a home, and let's say their name is Tom, and Tom thinks you're great. And then Tom, 6 months, a year later, 2 years later, is talking to someone at a bar, and they're like, yeah, we're thinking about selling our house. If you do everything correctly, you're going to be positioned to be the #1 person Tom thinks of when he hears the word real estate. And Tom's going to say, oh, you should call my guy. So your sphere will influence other people out around you, and that's how you get your referrals. The dark blue circle, those are the people in your CRM. Automatically, get them in there. If you don't have a CRM that you're using, I recommend you do the free trials on as many as possible. Find the one that works best for you. Find the one that you like. Find the one that you can navigate well, and start using it. Take everybody that's in your phone and put them in there. I don't care where they live. I don't care how you know them. None of that matters. They could live in, I don't know, wherever. It doesn't matter. They will know, at some point in their lives, they will know someone who knows someone who knows someone who wants to move to Florida. Everyone comes to Florida eventually. You know, I mean, you know, that's how it is. We have more people living in the state of Florida than New York. So that's true. Lead generation is not advertising. I hate to burst your bubble. I hate to burst that bubble for people, but it's true. So Advertising is not lead generation. Lead generation is not advertising. Lead generation is a proactive approach to get business. Making phone calls is lead generation. Open houses are lead generation. Well, especially if you're a newer agent, like Tanya said, if you're a newer agent and you have the ability or the opportunity to do open houses, it is a good way to build your database and to meet more people. But you kind of have to do it right. You know, do 4 a weekend, do 2 on a Saturday and 2 on a Sunday, and, you know, put in the time and put in the effort. Eventually your database is going to start paying you back. Talking with people is lead generation. The best way to get business is talk to people. Talk to people, talk to people, talk to people. Wear your name tag and talk to people. It's crazy how your name tag can get you business while you're at Publix. It's just crazy. Calling expired or canceled listings. Circle prospecting around your listings. Does everybody know what circle prospecting is? Can anyone tell me what circle prospecting is? And you go around a listing. Now, the listing doesn't have to be yours. It is kind of like farming. And the listing doesn't have to be yours. You can just be a new listing in the neighborhood. You pick that and you call everybody that lives around it and say, did you know there's a new house listed for sale in your neighborhood? It's a 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 3-car garage listed for X amount of dollars. Do you know somebody's looking to move into the neighborhood? Do you know somebody wants to, you know, move out of the neighborhood? Whatever. I call that a warm call because it's not completely cold. You have a reason to call the person. So a lot of people are uncomfortable with making phone calls, which kind of doesn't make sense. You can use RedX, Cole, or if you want to pay per person, you can use Spokio. I recommend RedX. I enjoy it. It works nicely. The spreadsheet, the lists are pretty easy. It's not horribly expensive either. I mean, back in the day, you could just pull out a phone book. You know, and I don't even know if they still do reverse directory books. They used to sell those phone books that went by the street, not the name. I don't know. I haven't gotten a phone book at my house in a couple of years. I don't even know if they still do them. Expireds and canceleds are a great source of business. They've already listed the house. They want to sell. You just have to wait for them to be ready or whatever their reason is. But if you can start nurturing expireds and canceled listings, they may relist down the road. Some of them list immediately. But if you don't call them, you're not going to get that. If you're just doing mailing, mail them a letter or something, you're going to have to farm that out over time, have a spreadsheet, track them on there when you mailed them something. But if you call them, you can almost go there that day or the following day and relist it. Door knocking, believe it or not, when done right, it can be beneficial. Now it's Florida. Our heat index today is like 104, some ridiculousness. It's like 9,000% humidity. So rock on to people who are door knocking today. I give you a lot of credit. When you door knock, one, you want to make sure that you're allowed to. Those non-soliciting neighborhoods, some people, you know, will rat you out. You don't want to knock on the HOA president's door if you're not supposed to be doing that. Give them something of value when you door knock. That's the problem with door knocking. You're face-to-face with someone, you have no idea what to say or what to do. So if you list a property in a community and you want to farm that neighborhood, you door knock. You hand them a flyer. I just listed your neighbor's house. Here's the information about it. If you know anybody who wants to move into the neighborhood, please have them give me a call. Here's my card, and hopefully connect with them and have a conversation. You were going to ask them? Mm-hmm. Okay, so that's a good point. You haven't sold any houses in the neighborhood, you haven't listed anything in the neighborhood, and you want to go door knocking in the neighborhood. So certain times a year, it's called giving them something of value or leave them something of value. So if they're not home, you still leave something other than the door hanger or your business card. So in the spring, seed packets are really cheap and a cute little thing that you can do. Marketing companies will sell you all kinds of little things that you could leave. You can do a market report, like a one-page side-by-side market report of recent sales over the last 30, 60, 90 days, whatever you can, get into the report. Some neighborhoods, it's going to be 6 months, and some it'll be, 30 days, and you've got a bunch of them. But give them something of value and let them know that you're an agent in the area. Not too many people do it. I do know an agent who door knocks often, and he has really good success with it, and that's like his main lead generation tactic. When it comes to your lead generation, you want to be doing 5 different things at all times, and we tend to do the one we like the most. The one we like the most is the one that we tend to do. May not be the most effective, but it's the one that we prefer doing. Attending vendor fairs, craft shows, car shows, street, Dunedin, when they have the art festival. I don't know if they're going to do any, well, they didn't do anything this year, but wear your name tag, have your business cards with you, talk to those vendors, talk to people. Most of those craft festivals, if you pay a $25 admission fee or something, you can set up your own table. You can set up a little table for your little real estate business at the art festival. And then hosting open houses. You can host open houses for other realtors in your organization. Most will let you do it, because most realtors after a certain point don't want to do them. And there is benefit to that. You can meet people. Okay? The other thing that's cool is then on your social media, you're going to advertise that open house for you. And it kind of looks like you're busy, or, you're busy, you're in the business, you want your sphere to see that you're working. Lead generating for listings give you control over the market you work. If you lead generate for listings, you pick the neighborhood. You pick the price point. Control over the price point and control over your schedule. So, yes, you have a flexible schedule in real estate. I have a very flexible schedule in real estate. I do very few buyers. Okay? Buyers are time consuming. For some reason, I was trained to list houses, and I list houses. And I market, and I list, and I market, and I list, and I market, and I list. I actually myself only do 2 or 3 buyers a year out of 30 some odd transactions. The rest are listings. So I can kind of control my schedule. I don't really get those 10 p.m. text messages from Zillow saying somebody wants to buy a house. Okay. Here we go. So advertising and buying buyer leads is passive. So you've got your proactive and you've got your passive ways to get business. Okay? Buying leads are passive, believe it or not. It might sound like it's a very aggressive way to get business. It totally is not. Anyone who's buying a fractional portion of a zip code right now from the monster place are probably noticing they're not getting what they used to get. As the market shifts, you're only going to get what you're going to get out of those systems. With these systems, you're waiting on someone else to initiate contact with you, and they cost money, straight up. And you can't always be guaranteed a good ROI. You hear a lot of people will say, like, I spent $500 a month for 6 months, and I didn't really convert anything. That's not a good ROI. Now, other people will tell you that they spend this much a month in a specific zip code, and they get this much business from it, and it pays for itself over and over and over. It's all going to depend on how much you're paying them, and what zip code and area you're in, and how many other people are buying in that area, and all that stuff. So just be cautious when you do that. It's expensive, and you want to make sure you have the ROI. You don't have control over the price point with that either. I would much rather have a past customer say, my daughter and son-in-law want to buy a home, and I know who they are, and I know where they work, and I know I can, okay, we'll call this lender, let's go buy you a house, as opposed to someone on Zillow in Wichita, Kansas or something who's just farting around. They just click that button, I want more information, because that's what they do. They click, I want more information, and then Zillow sends them to a realtor. And then you call them, and they didn't want you to call them. They just thought they were going to get more information, and it doesn't really go anywhere. And that usually happens at 10 o'clock at night. It's always like when I had internet leads coming in, I was like, I can't do this. This is not my thing. I am not the, let's have a chat at 10:30 at night about some two-bedroom fixer-upper. It's not going to happen. But you can't control the price point. You have no control over the quality of the lead, their time frame, or anything. You have no idea. And that's not bad. If you market for listings and you lead generate for listings and someone says, you know what, we are thinking about selling, but we want to wait until the beginning of the year for whatever their circumstance is, as long as it's legitimate. Well, now you can nurture that till the beginning of the year. It didn't cost you anything. But to be getting phone call, text messaging and phone calls at 9 o'clock at night, and they want to buy next year. We want to buy next year. We just want to see what's going on with the market now. I don't get that. You're already on the website, so you're seeing what's going on with the market now. You want me to show you stuff now, and then you're going to buy something next year, but what you look at now is not going to be on the market next year, so I'm going back to bed. You have no control over your schedule. In order to work internet leads properly, did you know this? You have to respond within like 5 minutes. The faster you respond, the more your conversion is. If you get that lead and you're like, I'm going to finish my chicken salad sandwich and check a couple of emails and whatever, by the time you get back to them, they already went out to 9 other agents, and someone grabbed it. So you have to be very like on the spot with your response. Again, that's not me. And you have no control over your business at that point. So I know agents who buy their leads from internet sources, and that's all they're doing. That's all they do is buy their leads from internet sources. Some years are good, some years aren't. As the market shifts, the quality of the lead may go down. You may not be in the price point you want. You may not be doing what you want. You're giving your control of your business over to some other entity, and you're paying them and giving them control over your business. So I'm not saying don't buy leads, especially if you're a newer agent, because it could, generate some money that you can then use in other places to get different business. And if you're newly licensed or fairly licensed or first couple of year or whatever, if you're in this room and you don't have a database going on right now and you're not lead generating, I'm going to tell you, your buyers today will be your sellers tomorrow. So there's something wrong with it. Just watch what you're spending. Advertising and buying leads are a secondary source of business. You should be lead generating, working your sphere, talking to people, doing the do. And then if you buy some leads and you do advertising and you get business that way, it should be like a little extra add-on, if you will, to the business. It shouldn't be your only source. Strong real estate business shouldn't rely on them for 100% of the business. I just said that. They're used in conjunction with proactive lead generation. Did you know that if you have listings, you don't have to pay Zillow for leads? You just get them. Just saying. Or Realtor.com. But we're going to dog the big Z. So you're going to need a CRM for all these leads, right? You call somebody in a neighborhood. Let's say you're going to farm a neighborhood. We're going to talk about farming real quick, too. It's weird that I have to do this in an hour. I feel like I should just like spit it all out. And I'm a very chatty person, if you haven't noticed by now. So choose a CRM that works for you. Have one. Okay. If you're, some people don't have the same. I'm the kind of person where I will jump off the building and then look back to see if I have a parachute on. This is how I am. I will buy a car. I love that car. I want that car. And then I see something else go by and I'm like, damn, I should have bought that. I want that one now. Weird. I just paid off my vehicle and now I'm like, well, like that one CRM that Tanya talked about for $600 something a month. You can get a Range Rover for that. Just saying. I know, because I'm on their website. So choose a CRM that works for you. Test drive the CRM and get one that you're happy with. If you don't like your CRM, you're not going to want to log into it. That's just human nature. I hate Windows computers and Microsoft crap. Obviously, I couldn't get my presentation to PowerPoint, so sorry for the people at home. You're not seeing that. My fault. Excel spreadsheets, and I have no idea. Dude, I have no idea. And I could learn it, but why? I don't want to. So if you send me something on an Excel spreadsheet and it opens up, I can read it. If you want me to do something with it, that's not happening. I'll just push it aside and it'll never happen. So find one that you're happy with and that you like, or you're not going to use it. Who likes Facebook? Look at her. She's like, yes, I love Facebook. I loathe Facebook, but I use it. Everyone's there. You know, we all used to be on MySpace. Was everybody on MySpace? Okay. So the people in my age bracket just went, yes. I remember I was on MySpace and my friend called me and she's like, you have to get on Facebook. And I'm like, what is Facebook? I think back then, I think it was still called Facebook. So I went on the Facebook and she's like, everyone's on Facebook. No one's on MySpace anymore. Okay. So I migrated over to Facebook. And what a genius he is. If I'm not mistaken, Pink's ex-husband bought MySpace a few years ago and like revamped it. But now it's too Viney, TikTok-y. It's not for Gen Xers. Sorry. The space theme and the music and everything. Yeah. I love that. And now think about it. We could have houses floating in the background of our MySpace page. Damn it. That'd be awesome. Maybe I should get back on MySpace. Those kids are going to need to buy a house someday. So you're going to use it often, and you're going to use it for a very long time. So make sure you like it. Okay? You should be in your database at least once a week. At least once a week. Even the veterans went, probably log in there and poke around, dust it off a little bit. Avoid paying for a system that has expensive features that you won't be using. Like Tanya said, you can do all these add-ons and stuff. If you just want a system that's going to give you a newsletter once a month, you can organize people and make notes about the name of their dog, the name of their kid, what college they're going to, so you can have a nice conversation with them when you call them, then look for that. If you want all kinds of other crazy integration and stuff, look for that. Your CRM should match your tech comfort level, if that makes sense. Just like everything else that we do, right? Add everyone you know today. Start a CRM today, pick one, do a free trial, pick 3, do a free trial. Start adding people. Get using it. Start a monthly newsletter or start a drip campaign and get people on it. My database, everyone in my database gets an email from me every other week. So my database, my CRM sends out an email automatically every other week. Then I can hit them other times of the year and in other places on my own. That's organic. But that system is designed and it just goes out. And every time I add someone, I just tag them for that. Well, you know, we were just in the class with me. I tag them for that system, puts them right on it, and it picks them right up, and it just keeps going. It changes every week. It's just different. Oh, yeah, the system I have, it's made. It's pre-built. You pick the ones you want, the dates you want it to go out, and who you want it to get it to. And then it just runs for a year or 2 years or however long you want to do it. Okay? If you do a newsletter, like I'm going to say Wise Agent. I loved Wise Agent. I used Wise Agent for years. I was with a company for years, and they had one, but I didn't like it. And so I was using Wise Agent back then. And Wise Agent had like a newsletter, and it went out every month. If I'm not mistaken, it wasn't automatic. I think I had to go in and like initiate it every month, but I just set a reminder on my calendar. But it was easy. But it was once a month. It was okay. Yeah, and you know, it was pre-made, it was pre-written, who cares? No one's gonna read it. I'm gonna tell you that too. I'm not reading it. And the people who do, when you send something and they read it and then they contact you about it, they're telling you where on the disc profile they fall. And if you don't know what the disc profile is, Google that. Because I have like my little group of people who will read it and then call me or email me back and be like, oh, that was wonderful information. I didn't know about this, and then I have to open the newsletter to see what the hell they're talking about because I have no idea what it is. I didn't read it. You want to touch your sphere 33 times a year. Seems like a lot, but it's not. So if you have a database sending out a newsletter, that's 12. Okay? And go from there. Every time you reach out. Every time you reach out. So, ways to get business on a proactive lead generation approach. You're going to call expired and canceled listings. Remember in the MLS, when I say canceled, I mean canceled. Withdrawn and temporarily off the market are not necessarily open game. It has to be expired or canceled. Call your sphere. That's the problem with the phone call. Like people are like, oh, cold calling is such a pain in the butt. Call your sphere. How many of you have sold houses? Okay. When was the last time you called someone that you sold a house to like 3 years ago? Of course, hand goes right up. Me. But, well, yeah, you have to stay in touch with them. They will not remember you. Just like Tanya said, you know how many times I work with someone or I go to sell a house and they have no idea the name of the agent that they bought the house with? They can tell me the gender, but they have no idea. And I think they were with such and such company. It's crazy. And that's kind of where your branding comes in. You know, if you keep it to a brand and a style, then people will remember it and they'll kind of, you're memorable. Like right now, if I said soda, most of you thought either Coke or Pepsi. That's positioning. So your database and your lead generation help you stay positioned. You want to be the #1 person they think of when they hear the word real estate. And that's how you get more business from them. Email drip your sphere. Also make sure that you're in the database. Put yourself in there. Put yourself on the drip campaign so that when those newsletters and stuff go out, you get it as well. So you kind of know what you're sending people. And it reminds you that it's happening. Then what's fun is when you know the newsletter went out, because you got it. You can start to notice how long it takes from the time the newsletter went out to the time there's interaction with you, either on social media or something, a text message. It triggers. They may not respond to your newsletter, but it will trigger an action on their part. That's why I like the every other week email. My name is showing up in their subject, you know, in their inbox. They may not read it. Most people don't read it. Do you read all the emails you get? If anybody said yes, I'd be like frightened. Because I get emails from, I don't know. I actually tried to I was shopping for health insurance. Has anyone done that? Popped around to a couple of websites. Holy cow. So whatever we do for lead generation, if you ever think it's too pushy, unless you're selling health insurance, trust me, we don't do anything as pushy as these people. They would call, text, and email me like immediately, like constantly. It was insane. Everyone I know at some point, to some degree. Yeah. And if it's a business person, you know, a landscaper, a roofer, or whoever, I interact with them on social media more because that's more of my business supporting your business, and you're going to remember me and, you know, stuff like that. Circle prospecting around listings is very helpful. It gives you a reason to make the phone call. It gives you a little more comfort. You have the information in front of you. It's a 4-bedroom, 3-bath home in such and such neighborhood for this much money. The taxes or whatever, like, you know, you've got the MLS in front of you when you do it. The taxes or whatever, and you can answer all the questions people have. It doesn't have to be your listing. I would recommend it's from your company, if you can do that. If your brand doesn't have any listings in that neighborhood, but you still want to work that neighborhood, then just pick whatever one you like the best and say a new house was listed in your neighborhood. If they ask, did you list it? Obviously don't lie. If it's not your office, don't lie. Tell them it was listed with whoever, you know. But did whoever call you? Probably not. Farm a community and become the expert. Man, I waited 2 years to start farming when I was new, and I was stupid. Because I knew everything. You couldn't tell me scripts. I'm like, oh, they can't work at all. I couldn't close a damn conversation with an appointment. And finally I went to my broker. I'm like, I keep making the calls, and nothing's happening. He said, well, how do you end it? I said, well, you know, well, when you're ready, give me a ring. And she said, well, that's stupid. No one does that. Your doctor doesn't do that. Your doctor doesn't say, I'll see you in 6 months. Peace, give me a call. Before you leave, they're like, here's your card. Here it is. Put it in your calendar. We'll see you in 6 months. So that's when my broker at the time said, well, why don't you try this? I'm available today at 4, tomorrow at 3, which is better for you. I close almost every appointment call with that. It works. And okay. Because if you call me, you want to sell me something or whatever, and you say, well, when you're ready, give me a call. Okay. I may discuss that at dinner with my spouse that night. And then the world happens and life happens, and 4 months later, and I'm like, oh, I forgot to, you know. I think I still have the insurance card, my new insurance card for my car sitting on my kitchen counter from like 4 months ago. Because, you know, I didn't do it immediately. Door knocking, it works. Some people love it, some people hate it, whatever. I think you have to try it. When I was new in the industry, my coach made me go door knocking. He told me we were going to lunch, and we weren't going to lunch. And he drove me to a street, and he dropped my Zoftig butt off on the corner and said, knock on these doors on this side, I'll meet you at the end. And he made me go door knocking. Crafty guy, though. He had little seed packets and my business cards ready to go. But it was weird. But you have to do it. Just give them something of value. If you don't, you have no reason to knock on their door. Why are you there? You know, when the Spectrum people knock on your door, or the Frontier people knock on your door to try to get you to convert to their digital religion, they don't just like, hey, I'm with Spectrum, you want to come with us or no? They give you something. Here's our deals, here's our sales. Something. Who? Jar openers. Okay, so I've been on the board here for, and if you didn't know, I'm the president of the board this year. And I've been on the board of directors. I've been a chairman of committees. I've been active in the board for years. And when you do stuff, the board gives you, like the president will pick little gifts for you. The jar opener, well, it's a bottle opener. They knew me. So it's a bottle opener and a wine corkscrew thing. I use that more than anything else. That stuff is always good. A good pen. A nice writing pen. People like a good pen. You could always leave a pen. So what, I'm not going to give away the farm, but you maybe get like koozies. And in the koozie, put your pen, put your business card, or the seed packet or something, give them something. Who is going to turn down a koozie? No one in Florida is going to turn down a free koozie. Ever. Google. Google, all the companies will come up. You pick the ones that are running the best deal. Over time, you're on their mailing list. So when they have a special, they'll send it to you. So I may buy my pens from National Pen. I may buy it from Myron. I may buy it from the one on Facebook with the ad, whatever it is. That's how I'll do it. Then you've got your passive, I don't want to call it lead generation, but it is lead generation, but it's passive, so it's not really lead generation. Your passive approach. So you've got your organic social media. That is you on Facebook, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, Twitter, whatever your preferred platform is, pushing your wares and doing your social media stuff. Then you have social media advertising. That is where you're going to pay them for placement of those posts. Okay, you can promote any post on Instagram or Facebook. I don't think Twitter does that. I think that's why I like Twitter, but whatever. You've also got your just sold, just listed postcards. They're very effective. However, it's still passive. You sold a house, you mailed a postcard. You're waiting on someone else to call you. So when you do just listed or just sold, you should be circle prospecting instead. Call them, don't mail them a postcard. Or do both. Because they can hang on to the postcard. That was misleading. Bus bench advertising, billboard advertising, and buying leads from an online source. It's all passive. It's all advertising. But you still have to do advertising. You need to know. How many of you in the room, before you got into real estate, knew of a real estate agent just because you saw their face on a billboard or a magazine or something? You knew someone. When I got, yes, sir. Oh, so when I got licensed, one of my good friends at the time said to me, well, you should go work for so-and-so. I said, why? He said, well, they're really good. I said, really? They said, yeah. I said, well, did you buy your house with them? No. Did you sell your house with them? No. Well, how do you know they're good? Well, she has all those billboards up and down 19. And I thought, really? But public perception, you must be awesome. You have a billboard. No, you have enough room on your American Express card to pay for the billboard. Doesn't mean you're selling anything. You'd be in debt up to here with a billboard. But the perception was I should go work for this person. It was crazy. Any questions on that and the lead generation? Has anyone read scripts or looked at scripts or bothered? You know, certain things in those scripts are very important. You know, when do you want to be in your next home? You kind of need to know that. You know, when are you thinking about listing? You know, if they're not going to list for a few months, you might want to set up a pre-appointment, just a preview. Go in, take a look at the place, give them ideas on what they need to do to get it ready for the market, take a few notes. Very casual, very not, no, pulling out listing agreements or anything. So, now we get to groups section. This is where I would normally walk around, but I'm like, this is weird to be stuck in one spot, but we're going to get through it. So, to get the phone numbers, I recommend, Red X or Cole. Cole Realty Resource is pretty good, and then Red X is really good. And what they do is you type in an address, you pick how many properties you want around that address to be on the mailing list. They generate it, and then they give you that list. And you just make the calls. Okay? Some good call scripts for circle prospecting. You know, a house was just listed in your neighborhood. Do you know somebody wants to move into the neighborhood? Have you thought about selling your house? Do you know anybody who's thinking about selling their house? In the conversation of how are you today and how things going and how do the weather, something. If you hear a dog bark, oh, is that your dog? What kind of dog do you have? You know, if you hear a kid whining or something, then, oh, you have children? I was going to say, what kind of kid do you have? Like, oh, you've got kids. Click. No. No, people will work with people when you're relatable. So what you put out is what you attract. I'm going to tell you right now, with your business, know your tribe. Know your tribe. My customers are kind of all the same. And if one of them is really, generally, when I have spouses and one is not really part of my tribe, the other one is. Like there's just a thing in there. I can't be someone I'm not. I just can't do it. I try. And trust me, with my customers, I'm a much more toned down professional person, but I'm still kind of like fun. I'm always going to be fun. I try. Where was I going with that? I was expecting another slide, honestly. To be perfectly honest with you. So who does phone calls? Anybody do phone calls? Cold calling? Connie does. Do you really cold call? Expireds, withdrawns, FSBOs? Networking is very good. Now, so, yes, and networking will work better for some people. Like, you're a high I, so you'll take to that over sitting in front of your computer on a phone with a spreadsheet in front of you. I have to do that. Yeah. But small doses. Like, I'm not a, at one point I was like, oh, I thought about getting my title license. I'm going to be a title agent because I know all these real estate agents. And I mentioned to a couple people, they all looked at me like I had 9 heads. And then I thought about it. I'm like, oh, I'd have to punch a clock. I'd have to show up on time, punch a clock, in big boy clothes every day, and sit in front of a computer. No, I'll do this instead. I give those people a lot of credit. A lot of credit. So, farming, is anyone farming a neighborhood? Are you farming 1, 2, or 3? How many? 2. I like 2. I did 1 for a long time. Now I'm doing 2. And I let my first one kind of fall by the wayside because I got a little cocky. I was like, oh, I'm doing enough business in there. I'm good. And then all these weird people's names were popping up in the MLS. And I'm like, oh, well, shame on me. So learn that lesson. So now I'm farming 2. And one of them is one that Connie's farming. Because Connie farms in my neighborhood. But here's a little tip. Here's a little tip when it comes to, and I don't remember which seminar I took or who taught it to me or where I heard it. With an expired or a canceled listing, statistically, if the expired agent was male, their next agent will most likely be female because they want something completely different from what they had. They will they will switch companies. They will go from a franchise to an independent. They will go young, old. They will just try something completely different from where they are. So when you go to farm a neighborhood, it really doesn't matter how many other people are farming in there. I mean, it does. You know, if you've got like 4 people with the majority of the listings, that's a lot of people farming that neighborhood. So when you look at the neighborhood, look in the MLS and see who's got the most listings. The person with the most listings in the same neighborhood is farming that neighborhood. That's not just random chance that they have 8 listings in the same subdivision, you know, unless that was one hell of an open house they threw and everybody wanted to list it. So look at that. Look at who they're with, and, you know, I don't recommend farming the same area that somebody in your office is farming, although I live there and you don't, so I'm still going to farm it. I saw the price point, and I saw the number of houses, and I'm like, okay. Plus, I'm kind of leaning towards what's happening in the future, and that neighborhood's going to get hit. And it'll get hit hard, so I'll be there. I'll be their short sale expert when that happens. We'll do it together. We'll just we'll use the same attorney. Absolutely. And to add to that, 2 things about for sale by owners. 1, their phone number is on the sign in the yard. There's no, where do I get the number? Is that number going to work? It's going to go to somebody, right? Mm-hmm. Yeah. Absolutely. And the other thing with a FSBO is that oftentimes around a listing appointment, you'll hear, you know, do you have any buyers for my home? Do you have anybody looking to buy in my neighborhood? So when you approach a for sale by owner and say, look, I have people who are looking to buy in this neighborhood, your house isn't in the MLS, can I show it to them? Would you be willing to pay my broker compensation for it? Most FSBOs will say yeah, and they'll pay the one side. The whole reason they're doing the for sale by owner is to avoid, crazy fees. So they need you, because I don't know, I wouldn't want to do it. I have a real estate license. I wouldn't sell my own house. There's no way. No way I'm doing my own house. Yeah. Absolutely. Or if you verbalize something, if you say something outside of what you're disclosing on paper, and you say it in front of, two people, well, now you have a witness to what you said. A lot of for sale by owners can end up in a legal mess, anyway. But anyway, yeah. Well, the market's shifting, if you didn't know that. It's going to shift. So yeah, it's shifting. It already is. Dun, dun, dun. It's fine. It won't be, granted, it's not going to be 2008. It'll not be 2008. And if I can get through that, I'm cool with it. But yeah, if you think about it, somebody who bought a house last year, if for some reason they need to move in the next 5 years or 3 years, they may find their value is not where they wanted it to be. Yeah. So we are going to see some short sales more than we are now. Already seen them. And then those stats on the forbearance, I almost fell out of my chair. That was some scary stuff. So what was told to me was that 38% of all homes financed in the state of Florida are in mortgage forbearance, which is a small number, but it's a big number. And then the scarier number was that the estimate was that 12% of those will be able to move forward and maintain their note, and the other 25, 26%, whatever the math works out to be, will not. That's some shadow inventory sitting there. So, we're going to have it. And then when you look at certain neighborhoods, some are more apt to have a problem because the price is so high for what the product is. Yeah, I would think somewhere between 7 to 9% of a shift in the value, which isn't really a lot. It's not horrible, But what'll happen is the market's going to have more short sales, and then we're going to have more foreclosures. And because what we learned in the past, they're not appraised the same as they were originally. So now they're appraised as a distressed property, so they don't have as much weight, but they will affect value. It's just going to happen. But it's not going to be catastrophic. It won't be 2008. If I thought that, I would just get out of the business because I'm not doing that again. I'm not doing that again. Remember that? No electric, no air conditioning, fleas. I remember getting bit by fleas. I had to carry off with me. Off, a flashlight and a machete was like realtor tools back then. It's insane. Yeah, it was nuts. It was good times, though. Well, there wasn't a lot of, I did like the wholesaling of it, like the bargain basement aspect. Like, you walk in and, do you want it or not? Like, are you buying this or no? I remember when I listed my first house that they lived in. It had air conditioning and lights, and they were playing music, and they made me a cup of coffee, and I thought, holy shit, what is this? This is what I want to do. I might become an REO agent in 2 years. I have no idea what's going to happen. We just shift with the market. So your lead generation every day. So your sphere, that's all the people you know. So if you don't have a database, I lost my phone. Everyone you know is already in your phone, I would assume, right? You didn't memorize people's phone numbers. So start calling them. I recommend that you put, that should be on a slide somewhere. I don't know. Maybe I didn't put it on the slide. Well, there's the scripts anyway. I recommend putting 5 names on your calendar for every day. And every morning, or in the evening, or in the afternoon, just call those 5 people. And they're out of your sphere. They're out of your database. This isn't a cold call. This is just connecting with people that you don't connect with. We are so inundated in the digital aspect of our lives, whether we want it to or not, that we forget that a phone conversation is an impression, a thank you card, a Halloween card is an impression, a note card, just dropping a note card. I recommend 10 note cards a week. I just thought of something funny, but I can't say it because of this. But this all sounded really good in theory. No, I'm just kidding. No, I was just going to say, like, a lot of the KW people probably just clapped because that was what we were trained to do. But 10 note cards a week to your sphere, right? When was the last time you got a little note card that said, you know, thinking of you, hope everything's going well, blah, blah, blah? No. The last note card I got, which I was excited to open, was somebody who wanted to buy my house. I'm like, well, thanks, but no. So note cards. And that's excellent training. I'm going to tweak your, and I'm going to repeat that for the people who couldn't hear it. So if you're newly licensed, or you've just moved to a new company, you should reach out to your sphere, tell them where you are, ask if you can mail them some business cards that they could hand out to their friends if they know anybody looking to buy or sell any real estate. And then follow up after that with a little note card, like the following month. Thank you so much for letting me send you my cards, blah, 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 blah. That's excellent training because it's the call, the value, you're giving them something of value, and then the follow-up. And that's what we do. That's farming. Everything that we do is farming, if you didn't know that. It's seeding, nurturing, and reaping. Whether it's your database, whether it's a farm neighborhood that's geographic, whether it's a farming that is a profession. You can farm doctors, you can farm nurses, you can farm car salesmen. Car salesmen. You know how many people they come in contact with? My neighbor's a car salesman. Like on a weekly basis. Oh, these people came in, they want to buy a car, and then divorced people, divorce attorneys. You can search divorces in the clerk's office. Did you know that? Just saying. Liz pendants. People are behind on their mortgages. Liz pendants. Just reach out. You know, like with the I don't know if anybody was in the business during that time of short sales and stuff. We had very aggressive marketing. I remember I had postcards that were like, "Don't let the banks win." You know, sell your home. Don't let them take it. Now I look back, I'm like, that was some grimy, a little grimy, but you know, it worked. Because people are like, well, I don't want to go into foreclosure. Foreclosure is sad, right? It sounds sad. Bankruptcy sounds sad, but if you can short sell it, you're still selling it. Really, in reality, it's like 6 to 1. You're boned either way. Either way, you're getting out of there. The short sales are better because then we don't have as much zombie houses out there. Because those are creepy. I actually showed a zombie house a couple of weeks ago, or last month or something. We pull up, and there was the tarp over the roof. I was like, whoa. Okay, buckle up. So we go in, and my buyer was not in that market. She was not looking for that. But we were there. You know, we had 30 minutes to get to the next appointment. So I'm like, well, let's go look at it. So we go in, and because of COVID, we had our masks on, thankfully, because it riddled with mold. It was just horrible, and I thought, oh no, I don't know me want to do that again. The cage over the pool with the green, there was a whole other ecosystem going on in that water. I was like, oh, this cabbage growing in the pool. It was rough, it was rough. And I remember that all those years that's what we sold. It was like no big deal. So your calls can be very easy. Lead generation isn't hard. Networking, Connie Luco does a lot of networking. She likes networking groups and things like that. and you can meet a lot of people outside of that. Committees at the board. When you join a committee at the board, it's not just a bunch of real estate agents sitting around that table. We have insurance companies, we have home inspectors, we have mortgage people that you're going to work with on that committee at the board. They don't have a real estate license, they need to refer business to someone. Okay, that's networking, basically. Realtor mixers, yeah. And they're fun. You can have a lot of fun and you can connect with people at the mixers, you know. I hear a lot of people like actually socialize at the mixers. I do my rounds and then I'm at the bar. Me and the 4 other people that are always at the bar for the St. Patty's Day was a blast. Those Jameson shots, I think. Yeah, somehow the bar hooked up with the Jameson rep, who brought like 150 free shots, but only like 8 of us were doing them. I don't even know. Yeah, that was a Uber night home. That was a good mixer though. That was fun. With the pickleback. The picklebacks, I don't know. It was rough. It was good, but it was rough. After like the 4th one, I'm like, okay, I don't want the pickle anymore. I don't want the pickle anymore. And I'm washing them down with Guinness. I was like, oh, I gotta go. Gotta go. So, yeah, realtors were fun. Scripts, download them, read them. What I recommend, how I taught scripts was this. You, I'm gonna say print it, but you don't have to print it anymore. You download it to something. If you have a tablet or an iPad that you can highlight on, if you have an iPad, you can highlight on it, on the PDF, get that. Read the scripts, go through them, look at the questions, say them out loud. Find the ones in all that noise that you think would actually come out of your mouth during a conversation and highlight it. Then I recommend you take those sentences and you throw them on to another script page that you can pull up on your computer. You can scroll through while you're on the phone to keep you on track. Okay? When you are working with your customer, you should be in the driver's seat. When you're showing houses, when you're listing houses, you know, you're the professional and you need to be in control of what's going on. So your lead generation shouldn't be any different. I remember when I didn't study scripts or know what to say, I was making phone calls with my coach in the room. And we had that headset, they had that whole fancy auto dialer thing. And so I'm doing the call, and the person on the other end asked me something, and I had no idea how to answer that question. And I kind of panicked, and I hung up. And my coach looked at me, he said, "Did you just hang up?" I said, "Yeah." He goes over to his computer and he's typing some stuff. And I hear ringing in my ear. He's like, "You're calling them back." And I had no idea. And as soon as it came on, he put this thing in front of me that said, "I'm sorry, we must have gotten disconnected. If that should happen again, can I get your name, can I get your phone number and email in case we get disconnected again so I can call you back?" That's how you get their phone number again. In case we get disconnected, what's your best number? You call your cell phone company, they ask you that. You call, like, well, maybe not the cell phone company, they should know your number. But when you call people, they say, "In case we get disconnected, what's your number?" They're updating that. You can almost hear them type it too, okay? So if you're calling your sphere, let's say you're calling your past coworker to chat about real estate, but you have to get into that conversation. So you're going to reminisce about that job, especially if they're still at it. Get caught up on all that stuff and how's things going, right? There's a horrible topic right now that you can use to break the ice, right? But it'll get the ice broken. Here's a little tip that someone told me. When you're talking to your sphere and you ask them about work or their career or their business, human nature is to ask you the same. "Oh, work's great, we're doing good, we just, sold so many cars and this is happening and this stuff, blah, blah." If they say, "How's work for you?" or "How's your work going?" or "How's work going?" they may not remember what the hell you do. But if they ask you, "Well, how's the real estate market?" then you know they remember what you do. Because most of my people, when they reach out to me, that's what they want to know. What's up with the market? And now you can find people in your database who are thinking about doing something in the future, but there's uncertainty right now. So they might be reaching out to you like, should I? Should I buy a house now? Should I sell my house now? When's a good time to sell? I love that question. When's a good time to sell? When you're ready to move? What can you do? There's a saying that we can't control the market, we can only control our activity within it. So if you want to move to a different neighborhood and you think, well, the value in that neighborhood might dip down in the future, well, guess what? The house you're living in now is going to dip down in the future too. So it's usually 6 of one, half dozen of the other. But if that'll make you happy, then do it. That's my opinion on that. So other ways to get leads? Name tag. Who has a name tag? If you don't have a name tag, get a name tag. It's also good for mixers and stuff. And I'm going to be a little selfish about this. So, like, as a leader, I can be in large groups of real estate agents, and they'll come up to me. They know exactly what my name is. And if they're not wearing their name tag, I may not know who they are. And it's a lot more comforting to do that. The other thing is always try to wear it on your right side, which is, I don't know, I guess left-handed people want to do it this way. I don't know why. You always wear it on your right side. When you're allowed to shake hands again, that's the side that you lean in with. So that's why they always say the right side. I recommend t-shirts, polo shirts, and things with your logo, your website, your catchphrase on it. Man, I get more inquiries when I'm wearing my t-shirts than anything else. Okay? And that's branding. If you have a domain name and you have a whole brand for your business that you're doing, it should be on your stuff. Who can I use for an example? Steve Jobs. When did you see Steve Jobs not in a black turtleneck? That was his brand. Farrell. When do you see them not in those shirts with the, all the trucks are the same color? Truly Nolan does the same thing. Like, that's your brand, that's your marketing. And it becomes recognizable. Okay? You don't have to be internet famous, but just, a nice t-shirt with the logo or something on it. Most of you are with a company that you can get that. If you're with an independent company, they don't have that. You just go to like Custom Ink, or Ryan just got his shirts from somewhere. They were pretty cheap. And you get to upload your stuff. So that works. We covered door knocking. We covered phone calls. So any questions on lead generation? Okay, last little tidbit of giving away the farm. So if you're going to farm expireds and cancels, I recommend you have a spreadsheet set up with the subject address, the mailing address, name, phone number, subdivision, then a spot for notes, and do that spreadsheet, and then do it for every month to infinity. And when you contact the expired, copy and paste their information from the tax record, drop it in the spreadsheet, and date it. You can always go back 3 months, 2 months, 5 months, 6 months. I can go back 4 years. Plug that property into the MLS as a search and see if they've relisted it. If they haven't, you have the opportunity to reach out to them again, because at some point they wanted to sell the house. Some people who expire or cancel will not list the house for 3 to 6 months after it happens. So if you only reach out when it immediately happens and you don't do the follow-up, you're not going to get the listing, and you're not going to be able to help those people sell their house, which is really what we're doing. And there's a stat, I don't remember how correct this is, I'm just going to say it, but it was something like we lose 60% or 70% of our business because we don't follow up enough. Sometimes your follow-up, okay, so you email them something, you text them, you call, left a voicemail. You're like, well, I reached out 3 times and nothing. You may not convert till the 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th time. They have stuff going on in their lives. Especially if it expired. They were on the market for 6 months, didn't sell it. They might need a break. They might not want to talk to realtors right down there. So keep that in mind. Canceled people are a little bit different. They tend to be a little bit more like, so this is what went down, and we don't want that to happen again. And in certain areas, it's funny because it seems to be the same agents and companies that cancel a lot. So do your spreadsheets on that, and you'll be good. Any other questions, or any questions at all? Yes. If they live there. Yeah. A pop-by is always good. Yeah. And you could bring some marketing material with you. You know, I like pre-done. I'm kind of like I need things easy for me. So I like brochures. So I have brochures for different things. I'll just bring brochures. I might mail a brochure. It's got kind of all the information in it. Correct. Yeah. It's harder to slam the door in someone's face than it is to hang up, or just send that number to voicemail like I just did. All right, we switched phone. Okay, so totally. Any other questions? Well, thank you all for coming. I'd like to thank Walden Insurance for providing our snacks and our goodie bags. Everybody loves a swag bag, right? And I'd like to thank John. John, you laughed, so you, I'll get it. You need a shirt with your name on it. I'd like to thank John, who did our audio video for us today, and for everybody watching on your computers and mobile devices. Thank you for attending, and we'll see you at the next class. Thank you.